everybody. It's Thanksgiving, and you know what that means.
Happy 4th of July, everybody!
Yes. Happy 4th of July, Pookie. Okay, let's get started.
Hello, and welcome back to Director's Choice. The 90s marked millennials' childhood. This generation was raised on baby bottle pops, blockbuster video stores, and the height of Disney movies. The one thing that can really spark nostalgia in any millennial, though, is 90s cartoons. There were a handful of cartoons in the 90s that were a little ahead of their time. Not only did they dare to tell the stories that had gone unrecognized in society, they put these stories on the TV screen for a mass audience, primarily made up of children. These cartoons gave a specific population of children an opportunity to see their reality represented on screen. Shows such as Hey Arnold, Powerpuff Girls, Rugrats, and the Wild Thornberrys appeal to the kids who grew up without the stereotypical mom, dad, brother, sister household, without the type of family that looks like a Norman Rockwell painting. Each of these 90s cartoons stepped out of this box and represented a different type of family structure or dynamic that was uniquely different from that of a traditional nuclear family. Hey Arnold. Arnold's upbringing is far from what most people would call normal. The character Arnold is one born out of tragedy. When Arnold was 2, his parents disappeared somewhere in San Lorenzo, and his grandparents, Phil and Gertrude, stepped into the picture to raise him.
Grandpa, I was wondering if I could talk to you. I've kind of got a problem.
Oh, well, shoot, short man.
They did not raise him in the suburbs inside a house, surrounded by a white picket fence, though. He was brought up in a boarding house, located in a low-income part of the city, Hillwood. Besides having the coolest kid's bedroom ever, there was something very special about this boarding house. Within the walls covered in wood paneling and chipper wallpaper, Arnold experiences a family dynamic like none other we had seen on TV. He is exposed to characters from multiple diverse backgrounds. There's an immigrant family from Czechoslovakia, a construction worker with a Napoleonic complex, an immigrant man from Vietnam with a missing daughter, and even a man who has never left his room where he may or may not be raising chickens. Along with his grandparents, this odd clan of characters create a sort of makeshift family for Arnold and teach him life lessons that his parents never had the opportunity to instill.
Run! Be free! Go! Live and love again!
A few blocks over lives Arnold's classmate, Helga Pataki. Helga is growing up with everything Arnold doesn't have: 2 biological parents, a sibling, and wealth. On paper, she has the perfect formula for a happy childhood. But Helga is far from happy. She's a mean, spoiled bully. Helga's character is the opposite of Arnold, who is kind, empathetic, and wise beyond his years. Helga's anger and overall unhappiness is a product of the fact that she never had the one thing Arnold did: unconditional love. Helga's entire childhood involved constantly being outshined by her older sister, Olga, and her parents made it clear that there was a favorite child.
Was wonderful, honey.
You're a stinking genius.
Daddy, who's gonna take me to preschool?
Eh? Oh, yeah, sure. Come on, play us another one.
There's also a part of Helga that envies Arnold, and her jealousy takes the form of a secret crush.
Arnold, so discriminating, so patient and thoughtful, spurning the golden girl and saving his affections for one less likely, yet perhaps ultimately more deserving.
Helga is proof that biological mom plus biological dad does not always equal a happy child. In Arnold's case, grandparents plus unlikely mentors plus true friends equals a kid who is thriving, despite experiencing tragedy so early on in his life. Hey Arnold shows us that there is no algorithm or perfect formula for a happy life. the Rugrats. Most of us remember the Rugrats as a TV show about toddlers, innocently exploring their own worlds. However, many shows reflect the intended audience in the main characters. But the intended audience of the Rugrats wasn't toddlers, it was kids. So why was the show primarily told from toddlers' point of views? The creators of the show recognized that with age comes wisdom. But wisdom is not necessarily a blessing. Even the wisdom a 6-year-old has developed is tainted by the lessons they've been taught by society. These lessons can range from trivial things, such as not burping in public,
Excuse me.
to more complex ideas. The inherent innocence that Tommy, Chucky, Angelica, Phil, and Lil possess allows them to delve into these weighty topics with an untainted view. One of the most recurring topics within the show is gender norms.
If girls can wear anything they want, then so can we. Come on, Chucky. We're gonna try on a dressy.
While the toddlers often explore the societal norm themselves, it is their parents who continuously defy the idea of a man and woman's place in society and ultimately within a family. Let's start with Tommy's parents, Dee Dee and Stu Pickles. This branch of the Pickles family probably best represents the American middle class. Both of the parents make a modest living. Dee Dee is a schoolteacher, and Phil is a not-so-successful inventor. Dee Dee's steady job makes her the breadwinner of the family, while Stu's unstable pipe dream of a career as an inventor makes him the stay-at-home parent.
Pudding.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning. Why on earth are you making chocolate pudding?
Because I've lost control of my life.
Stu's brother, Drew Pickles, who's Angelica's father, is also a stay-at-home dad. However, this branch of the Pickles family lives a more than modest lifestyle. Stu's wife and Angelica's mom, Charlotte, is a high-powered executive who believes that a girl should aspire to live outside of the household.
Angelica's been acting like a real princess?
That's great! In a male-dominated power structure, she's gotta eat, breathe, drink, and sweat self-esteem.
Then there's the DeVille family, which is made up of the twins, Phil and Lil, and their parents, Betty and Howard. Betty and Howard outright defy the macho man and feminine woman stereotype. Howard is more soft-spoken, while Betty portrays a rough-and-tumble feminist.
Today we're doing tumbling, jumping, and let's take control of the Senate sing-along.
Last and most certainly not least is the family that tugged at all of our heartstrings, the Finsters. This family is made up of the father-son duo Chaz and Chuckle. Both of these characters share a unique grief, the loss of a wife, and subsequently the loss of a mother. But Chaz embodies the sympathy and softness that most of us associate with a mother figure. Whether or not we realized it as kids, the Rugrats instilled the idea that parental roles are not always determined by the gender of those who fulfill them. The Powerpuff Girls.
Sugar, spice, and everything nice. These were the ingredients chosen to create the perfect little girl.
Each of the Powerpuff Girls represent an ingredient in the formula to make the perfect little girl. Bubbles is sugar, Buttercup is spice, and Blossom is everything nice. But these superhuman girls who are born out of the idea of perfectness challenge the idea of what makes a perfect American family. We watch Bubbles, Buttercup, and Blossom grow up in a single-parent household with Professor Utonium. Even though they mainly call him Professor and rarely Dad, there is no doubt that the three girls view Professor Utonium as their father figure.
Father figure detected.
Though these girls don't have a mother figure, they feel loved and feel that they have a complete family.
Thankfully, none of us were hurt. Yes, and as long as we have each other, we're indestructible.
The professor is not just the girls' father, though. He is their creator. The idea that there doesn't have to be a man and a woman in order to create a child is the basis of artificial insemination. Artificial insemination is a method of conception that is most often used by a couple or a single person who cannot conceive a child by traditional means. The way in which the professor creates the three girls could be considered a metaphor for artificial insemination. Artificial insemination increases the chances of multiple births. The professor's formula was originally meant to produce one perfect little girl, but he ended up creating three girls. Even though his intended one child turns into three girls, and these girls were not born out of conventional means, the professor loves Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup unconditionally.
I would say that out of all my accomplishments, I'm most proud of my 3 girls.
So, the Powerpuff Girls also shows kids that there is no wrong or right way for a child to come into this world. The Wild Thornberrys. The Wild Thornberrys depicts a family whose story is just that, wild. The show is about 2 parents, Nigel and Marianne, who are traveling around the world with their 2 daughters, Eliza and Debbie, while they film a nature documentary. The dynamic of the family changes when Donnie comes into the picture. Donnie is a feral child raised by orangutans and adopted by the Thornberry family after his parents are killed by poachers in Borneo. When they meet him, they make the decision to raise the boy, and in doing so, add another member to the Thornberry family. But this wouldn't be the last time their family grows. Soon after, they meet Darwin, the chimpanzee.
My friends call me...
That's a little hard to pronounce. Why don't I just call you Darwin?
Ooh, I like that.
Darwin has a taste for the finer things in life, and because of his desire for something more than the jungle, and his perceived lack of ability to survive in his environment, the Thornberrys quickly take him in. Through the pair of unlikely additions to the family, we learn how some families change unexpectedly, and you don't have to be born into a family in order to be a member of one. As part of a nomadic family, the daughters hardly have the usual upbringing of most teenage girls. While Eliza fully embraces the family's exotic lifestyle, her older sister Debbie often resents her family for depriving her of the rituals that a typical teenage girl experiences, and the idea that she never had the choice to be a part of this family.
Another dinner, another day, another meaningless moment in this pantomime we call burgers?
But the family often comes together to show their appreciation for her sacrifice and acknowledge that the journey has been particularly difficult on her. One of the most heartfelt examples is when Debbie's family comes together to throw her a surprise prom of her own. The Wild Thornberrys shows us that a home does not have to be a static building with a backyard. Rather, a home can be a combi traveling through the depths of jungles, and what makes a place a home is the family within it. Though their stories are fictional, the makeshift families of Hey Arnold, the gender role-defying families of the Rugrats, the unconventionally born families of the Powerpuff Girls, and the ever-moving and changing families of the Wild Thornberrys exist in real life. Whether or not different family dynamics and structures are depicted on the television screen does not determine whether or not they exist. These 90s cartoons took it upon themselves to recognize this fact and instilled within its child viewers the values taught along the way. Take a look at these other recent clips by Director's Choice, and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified with our latest videos.